Imagine a clock that's counting down your life right now, and you can see every second. Sounds terrifying, right? But what if the real nightmare isn't knowing when you'll die? It's not knowing at all. Every person on Earth shares the same fate. We all know the ending is coming, yet nobody knows the date. Nobody knows the hour. And that uncertainty quietly follows us through life. Death is one of humanity's greatest mysteries. We avoid talking about it. We joke about it. We distract ourselves from it. But deep down, one question never disappears. When? Most people assume that knowing the exact moment of their death would destroy their happiness. It seems obvious. A countdown hanging over your head sounds like a curse. But here's the strange part. Research suggests the opposite. Psychologists studied people who actually knew their lives were nearing the end. Terminally ill patients, death row inmates, people forced to confront the reality most of us spend years avoiding. Then they compared them with people who still believed they had plenty of time left. The results were unexpected. Those who knew their time was limited often spoke more positively about life. They focused less on what they were losing and more on what they had already gained. Their memories mattered more. Their relationships mattered more. Their achievements suddenly felt real. Meanwhile, people who didn't know when death would come were often trapped by anxiety, regret, and endless what-ifs. And this is where it gets weird. The thing most people fear could actually be the thing that sets them free. Because when the finish line becomes visible, distractions lose their power. Petty arguments feel pointless. Meaning becomes clearer. But if knowing your death date can make life better, why does the idea scare us so much? The answer changes everything. What would you do if you discovered you had exactly 5 years left? Would you keep living the same way? Or would everything change overnight? This is where the countdown becomes powerful. Suddenly, every decision matters. Every day has weight. Every hour feels valuable. The phrase, "you only live once," stops sounding like a cliché and starts sounding like a warning. Some people would chase adventure. They'd jump from the edge of space, dive into the deepest oceans, travel across continents, experience everything they possibly could before time ran out. Others would take a completely different path. Maybe they'd spend more evenings with family. Maybe they'd call old friends. Maybe they'd finally tell someone they love them. But that's not even the craziest part. Knowing your deadline wouldn't just change your actions. It would change your identity. Because many people secretly spend their lives searching for a way to outlive death itself. Think about fame. Why do so many people dream of becoming celebrities, influencers, or legends? Researchers believe it's often deeper than money or attention. For some, fame offers a form of immortality. Even after they're gone, their name remains. Their story survives. And that's when the real twist appears. The desire to leave a legacy isn't just ambition. It may be humanity's way of fighting mortality. Throughout history, people facing death have launched movements, inspired millions, and changed the world forever. Some became activists. Some became artists. Some became heroes. When time becomes limited, purpose becomes urgent. But what if the greatest lesson isn't about knowing when you'll die? What if it's realizing that the countdown has already started? Right now, your clock is ticking. You just can't see it. And that invisible countdown might be the most important fact about your life. Scientists are already finding ways to estimate lifespan using biological markers hidden inside your blood. Artificial intelligence is becoming surprisingly good at predicting how long people might live. The technology isn't perfect, not even close. But imagine a future where an algorithm could tell you the exact day your life would end. Would society become happier? Or would it collapse under the weight of certainty? What happens next changes everything. Because the real question was never about death. It was about life. Most people postpone their dreams because they believe there will always be more time, more opportunities, more chances, more tomorrows. But tomorrow is the one thing nobody is guaranteed. That realization is uncomfortable, yet it's also incredibly powerful. Every item on your bucket list, every person you care about, every risk worth taking, every act of kindness, every dream waiting to happen, all of it exists inside a limited window. As writer Edward Abbey once said, "The fear of death follows from the fear of life." Maybe the people most prepared to die aren't the ones who know their expiration date. Maybe they're the ones who truly lived. So call that person. Take that trip. Start that project. Say what needs to be said. Because life is short, whether we admit it or not. And maybe that's exactly what makes it valuable. But there's one final mystery nobody has answered. If knowing when you'll die could transform how you live, would you really want to know?